Hi, I'm Brandy Duskie, and this is my EDL 856 School and Community Relations Case Study Assignment. Let's look at some background information. What's happened already is the local PTA has discontinued its affiliation with the national PTA. This was shocking to me, and I was unsure what the issues were. But this new group is seeking more involvement in policy making overall. But they're specifically wanting to talk to me right now about back to school night, and it was also mentioned at the meeting that parent-teacher conferences are on the chopping block as well. It happened in my office last Thursday at a meeting that we had to discuss back to school night planning, and it became obvious that the new parent group had already had a meeting to plan for this meeting, but also to make some changes. In their meeting, they formed some new committees looking at school discipline, teacher performance, curriculum, and also a total school evaluation. And they had developed a plan for back to school night, wanting to change it to evening meetings instead of the typical picnic that we've had, and also making changes to parent-teacher conferences, having them the week of American Education Week, and asking teachers to present information on certain nights but be available the other nights for conferences. The officers of the new parent group are involved, as well as myself. It's unclear how many officers came to the meeting based on the information given, but at least the president, and they came primed for change and caught me off guard. Now that we have that out of the way, let's look at some legal and ethical issues. The legal issues at hand regarding FERPA would be how they propose to collect data on students as well as teachers for their committee work, may infringe upon freedom of records. The negotiated agreement may also be infringed upon, asking teachers to participate in additional duties for parent-teacher conference nights. Increasing the nights available for that, as well as back to school, may impact teacher contract time. Having schools allow parents to dictate curriculum choices for the school building would potentially be a legal implication. Are those curriculum changes aligned with state standards, and are they cohesive with district policy? Is this new parent group affiliated with anybody? They've discontinued their affiliation with the national PTA, but are they affiliated with any other national group or local group? Are they even affiliated with the school? If not, are they using the school name, logo, or mascot to indicate that they are affiliated with the school? And then what does the funding for their proposal look like? Where's that funding coming from? What's the school responsible for? Are they doing separate fundraising? And making sure that they're following all those rules. Some ethical issues that may arise from the proposal is, first of all, is this group representative of all parents that are within the district or within this building, or is it a small subset of parents with their own agenda? There seem to be some significant concerns with curriculum and teacher performance, and that could impact staff morale. We want to make sure that our teachers feel supported. We need to maintain balance. This is a parent and a teacher organization of some capacity, and right now it feels like it's mostly a parent organization coming to me as the principal with their proposal and plan for change. So we would want to make sure that we maintain balance. And finally, having parent and family engagement typically leads to improved student outcomes. So that's a positive, but we just want to make sure that we're ensuring the appropriate steps are taken to make those changes. So what's next? We need to determine what we do now that we have this information. So I, as the building principal, need to collaboratively engage with the new parent group, keeping legal and ethical implications in mind to facilitate positive teaming moving forward to benefit the school improvement plan and overall student development. Let's look at some of the facts that we know and what is yet unknown. The people involved are two different publics, our internal and our external. Looking internally, I am a representative of the internal public as the principal, but I represent the district, other administrators, the teachers, and other staff. And then externally, the parent group is supposed to be representative of the parents, and we would want to make sure that they are representative of all parents, but then also the larger community at large, and ensuring that the president of the parent group as a local attorney isn't seen as a political influencer that could potentially damage relations or exert power in some way. Some unknowns, again, are we don't know if this group is representative of all parents. Looking at the place, we don't know a lot about the place involved in the case study from what we were given. We don't know if it is a low SES area or an affluent area. We don't know if it's rural or urban. But we do know that there was a recent addition to the school building and that was supported by previous PTA. So that involvement is important. The program parents have been involved through the PTA and are seeking more involvement and deeper involvement as they're concerned with curriculum and policy changes that may impact the day-to-day experience of the program. Some unknowns are whether it's a public or a private school, or the building level. Is this primary or secondary? So let's review some of the other information that we have. The stakeholders involved. I am a stakeholder as the building principal, but I represent multiple other stakeholders at this initial meeting, and I would want to make sure to get other stakeholders on board moving forward. So I'm a representative of the district, representing the policies of the school board as well as the other administrators, including the superintendent. And I'm also a representative of the teachers, since it doesn't appear that we have teachers represented at the table unless there are some dual roles with parents and teachers who came in the group, but that wasn't readily available. I also represent the students, making sure that we're working towards improved student outcomes and what's best for them in general. The parents are representative of the parent group, but we want to make sure that they're representative of all parents. And then the larger community is also represented. Some potential damages of the proposal would be damaging relationships between parents and teachers. Based on some of the proposals, it may be that teacher relationships with parents are damaged based on how that goes about doing it. The trust between the school and parents may also be impacted, or vice versa, the trust between the parents and the school, not just the school and the parents. And then overall school culture may be impacted because of potential changes that are being requested. So keeping all of that in mind, let's look at some of the options. Where can we go from here? The first option would be to take no action, refuse the demands of this new parent group. Pros of that would be that we alleviate any ethical or legal obligation issues because we're going to not do any of the things that they asked. The teachers may end up feeling more supported because those questions that are coming in from this parent group would be ignored. And it may provide opportunity for other parents who aren't represented in this new group to have their feelings and visions heard. Some potential cons would be that relationships would be damaged. This saying absolutely not and refusing to hear the proposal of this new group at all would definitely damage relationships moving forward. Another option would be to adopt the action of this group and agree to their demands. Pros of this would be that it would lead potentially to group collaboration between the school and this new group and cultivate relationships for growth moving forward. It may also facilitate improved school outcomes. Cons, however, would be that it could potentially harm those relationships with the teachers based on the proposal as it currently stands. And then again, there are definitely legal and ethical implications. Option 3 would be to request more information, starting with a needs assessment and then working towards a strategic plan. The needs assessment is important because we don't need to make significant changes to the way we're doing business if what we're doing is effective and meeting the needs of the school. Making changes just for the sake of making changes can be damaging. Going this route would allow me to gather additional information, fill in some holes, include more stakeholders who aren't already represented, so teachers bringing them to the table as well as other parents and any other stakeholders that may arise through that process. And it would give me time to review the legal and ethical implications to make sure that we make appropriate choices moving forward. Some cons would be that the parent group could refuse that and separate themselves from the school altogether. This option does have a significant time investment. Additional meetings would be needed and potentially volunteer time significantly more than in the past, as well as potential expenses associated with that. Our fourth option would be maintaining the status quo, encouraging this new parent group to embrace the current expectations that we've had. So as far as the back to school night, we're having a picnic, and this is the way we are going to do business. Some cons with that would be that it may not address the core concerns that this new parent group has. Pros would be that the planning would be lessened. We already have a plan in place and we would just follow that. And it still allows for parent engagement in the process. Now that we've reviewed the options, I choose option 3, requesting more information. Again, this allows me to gather additional information to fill in those holes that we don't know yet about. I can include more stakeholders, creating a school-based group, pulling in teachers for that T in the teacher organization with parents. A strategic plan would help us establish goals moving forward. So short-term goals would be looking at back to school night. More long-term goals might be parent-teacher conference changes and then policy changes in the future. And then again, allowing for time to review those legal and ethical implications. So moving forward, what are the next steps for this plan? The first step would be to thank the parent group for bringing their concerns to me and request that we meet again once we have identified additional stakeholders and bring them to the table. Another next step would be to really dive into those ethical and legal situations and clearly state the parameters up front of what we have to meet now, and then dive into that information to make sure that we are appropriately meeting that need. Review and revise our communication, so making sure that we are effectively communicating and keeping both entities, the school and the parents, apprised of what is happening and where we're going from here. And I already kind of mentioned identifying that school-based team to have that teacher involvement in the parent-teacher organization. If this doesn't work, I would share appropriate information with this new group, making sure that they're apprised of where the school stands legally and what we are able to do and not able to do. I would review the current communication protocol and make appropriate changes to ensure that all parties feel heard and we can communicate effectively moving forward. Gather feedback both from the parent group and other stakeholders to ensure that we have an opportunity to move forward appropriately. And continue to engage in collaboration. I wouldn't cut ties with this parent group, but I would continue to work on engaging them so that we can effectively work together to make appropriate change for the school and influence those appropriate student outcomes. Here are a few of the references that I utilized for my presentation, and I appreciate your time in joining me to go over my case study. Thank you.